Hi, my name is Kari and I'm the product architect here at FieldSync. What I'd like to go over in this video are the upcoming features that you'll see in our release of FieldSync 2.6. Let's quickly review what those primary features are. First of all, we'll be adding configurable fields to the customer module. Now, you may be using FieldSync to track something other than customers. You may be using it for projects or tracking locations or assets. So moving forward, rather than calling it the customer module, which is what it is by default, I'll be referring to it as the entity module. So within that module, you have the ability to add unlimited configurable fields. You'll see here in this screenshot that the setup process is the same as you're used to seeing within logs and tasks, and you have the ability to add on configurable fields that will be displayed within the entity profile. Now, all of the fields that are added are displayed in the add and edit on both the web and mobile. In addition, we've also made some of the fields that are already existing in that entity module configurable. So the drop-down controls that currently exist for gender, marital status, and category are now configurable and allow you to either add additional values to those drop-down lists or to use those fields to track completely different information. And finally, we've implemented a new workflow within the logs module on the mobile. This provides better usability if you have a really long list of entities to choose from, and I'll go through that in just a moment. So let me go ahead and show you how you set up those configurable fields. Once you've logged into the web application, you'll go into the settings module, and you can see here that we have a new tab. Now my tab is titled Project because I've renamed my customer entity to Project so I can track various projects within FieldSync. But if you have the default settings, then you'll see the Customer tab. Now within this tab, you have the ability to not only add the configurable fields, we've moved the configuration of the Customer button to this screen as well. So within this drop-down list, you can choose which graphic you'd like to display on both the mobile and the web main menu. So down below, we have the ability to add all of the configurable fields, and you can also create a section label that will be displayed at the bottom of the entity profile. So you can see here that I've added a number of configurable fields, including text entry, numeric fields, image markup, a date stamp, and so on and so forth. Now with each of these fields, you have the ability to indicate whether or not it's active and shows up on the form, and also whether it's a required field. So once we've set those up, let's take a look at what they look like. If I go into my entity module and add a new entity, you'll see that at the bottom of the profile, I now have this new section with the custom header, and I have all of the new fields that I've just set up. So each time I go in to add a project or customer or however I have FieldSync set up, then I can go in and enter in this information. And on the mobile, you'll also see these same fields. Now here are some examples of different configurable fields that you might want to set up depending on what type of entity you're supporting. So for example, if you're in the business of providing services to individuals and you have your entity set up as a patient, client, or participant, you may want to enter some fields to add additional information and various important dates. Now let's say that your entity is a location or a store or branch. You may want to add some configurable fields that allow you to capture additional photos. Let's say, for example, that you're a franchise and each of your stores are set up exactly the same. You could enter a standard store layout image that would be just a display only that allows the users to go in and see how the store should be set up. Another example would be to capture the GPS coordinates of the location or the project or the job. Let's say, for example, you have a project that's out in the middle of nowhere, and when you go out to the job site, you want the mobile device to capture the exact GPS coordinates. You can do that now with the configurable fields. You can also add an image that can be marked up. So let's say you have a project map and want to display that, and as certain pieces of the project are completed, you can mark them off and come back and indicate on that image which pieces are completed. You may want to add a service checklist or features for an asset or a piece of equipment. You could also add in preferences. Say for an example, with a customer you want to have a certain field that captures what their preferences are about a certain aspect of your business. And you can also use a signature field to capture a signature on files. So those are some examples of what you might want to add on to your entity profile that will allow you to capture that more static data as opposed to the logs and the tasks that you're collecting on a daily basis. So here's a quick look of what the configurable fields look like on the mobile application and some of the changes that we made surrounding that. Now, first of all, we have simplified the entity menu to include only 3 sections: General, Contacts, and Tasks. And the other sections that you saw previously are now within the General page along with the configurable fields. So when you go into the General section, you'll see the employment information, the emergency contact information, as well as all of the configurable fields that you've added. The Edit button to edit an entity is now displayed on the General page. Once you select an entity and navigate into this menu, you'll select the General tab, which will allow you to view the details for that customer or entity. And here you'll see an Edit button that allows you to edit that customer. We've also moved the map functionality up into the toolbar. So if you need to view the primary location of an entity, you can simply select on the map button, and that will take you to the map that shows you that location. Now on the mobile, we also made a change to the add log workflow. So now when you go in to add a new log, you will first be prompted to select a log type, which we've released in the last version, and then you'll be prompted to select a customer. Now within this customer screen, you have the ability to filter down the list of customers or entities by typing into the filter box. You can also place the cursor within that box and scan a barcode, and that will filter the list to display only the value that matches that barcode. So this will really help with the workflow and make things easier if you have a very long list of customers or entities. Now on the web application, when you go in to add a log or view the log detail, you'll also have the ability to start typing the value into the customer dropdown. That will also take you to the first value that meets those criteria. So I showed you where you can set up the configurable fields, but let me show you now where you can change the settings for the contents of the gender, the marital status, and the customer category can now be modified so that you can add additional values or change the control for a different use. And that's done within Settings. And if you go to the System tab where we have all of our system value lists, you'll see that there's now a customer category, gender, and marital status. So this really enhances the flexibility of the solution because, again, you can change these 3 drop-downs, collect different information, or add additional options to those. Now those are the highlights of what you'll see in the release of 2.6. If you have any additional questions related to configurable fields within the entity or customer module, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you.